The last thing I remember before the crash was reaching for my phone to change the music. That's the cruel irony. I wasn't even texting, just trying to skip past another Ed Sheeran song. I'm Samara, and that split-second decision cost me everything. Not just my ability to walk unassisted for the next 2 years, but something far more precious. My trust in family. The impact felt like being swallowed by thunder. Metal screamed, glass exploded, and my world spun into darkness. I woke up 3 days later in the ICU, my body a symphony of pain and my mouth full of tubes. The doctors told me later that the other driver had walked away with barely a scratch. Meanwhile, I had a shattered pelvis, 3 fractured vertebrae, and enough metal in my spine to set off airport security for life. You're very lucky, the neurosurgeon said during his rounds. The settlement from the other driver's insurance should cover your medical expenses and rehabilitation. It's substantial, enough to ensure you get the best care possible. Lucky. Right. My sister Isla visited exactly twice during my 3-month hospital stay. The first time, she couldn't stop checking her phone. The second time, she was wearing a new Gucci bag that looked strangely familiar, identical to one I'd bookmarked before the accident for my graduation present to myself. Mom and Dad helped me start my influencer career, she announced, perching on the edge of my hospital bed. I already have 10,000 followers. Isn't that amazing? I smiled weakly, the morphine making everything fuzzy. That's great, Isla. Really great. It wasn't until Patricia, the hospital administrator, came to discuss my ongoing physical therapy payments that the fog cleared. She frowned at her computer screen, clicked a few times, then looked at me with concern. There seems to be some confusion, she said carefully. The settlement funds were accessed 2 months ago. Multiple large withdrawals. That's impossible, I said. I haven't touched that money. The withdrawals were authorised by your parents. As your legal guardians while you were incapacitated, they had full access to the account. The room started spinning again, but this time, it wasn't from medication. How much is left? Patricia's silence told me everything. I confronted them that evening when they came for their daily visit. Mum was arranging flowers, always arranging flowers as if pretty petals could fix everything. Where's my settlement money? My voice cracked. Dad didn't even look up from his phone. We made some investments. In what? Your sister's future, Mum jumped in, her voice syrupy sweet. Isla has such potential, sweetheart. The sponsorships, the brand deals. She just needed a little boost to get started. We're thinking of the whole family. The whole family? I gripped my bedsheet so hard my knuckles went white. I can't walk. I need years of physical therapy. Don't be dramatic, Dad sighed. You're young, you'll bounce back. We'll help you, Mum added quickly. Once Isla's career takes off. Get out. The words came out like ice. Samara, don't be like this. Get out. They left, Mum crying theatrically, Dad muttering about ungrateful children. I lay there surrounded by beeping machines and wilting flowers, feeling more alone than I ever had in my life. 2 weeks later, I was discharged to a cheap basement apartment, the best I could afford on my maxed-out credit cards. The final blow came at CVS, trying to fill my pain medication prescription. I'm sorry, Miss Mason, the pharmacist said gently. Your card has been declined. I stared at the little orange bottle sitting on the counter, containing the pills that would let me sleep through the night without screaming, the pills I couldn't afford. Could you try it again? I whispered, knowing it was useless. The pharmacist swiped again. The machine beeped its rejection. My phone buzzed, a notification from Instagram. With trembling fingers, I opened it to find a new post from Isla, a sunset photo on some tropical beach, cocktail in hand. The caption read, "Living my best life, so blessed to have an amazing support system. Blessed family, first influencer life." I dropped my phone. not caring when the screen cracked against the pharmacy's linoleum floor. The physical therapy appointments I couldn't afford, the medications I couldn't pay for, the accessible apartment I couldn't rent, it had all gone to fund my sister's best life. The pharmacist was still watching me, concern etched on her face. "Is there someone you can call?" I laughed, a hollow sound that scared even me. "No," I said, turning my wheelchair towards the door. "There's no one left to call." My basement apartment smelled like mold and broken dreams. The landlord called it garden level, but the only garden I could see was the patch of weeds pressing against my single window. At least the rent was cheap and the building had an elevator, even if it broke down twice a week. I was scrolling through Ila's Instagram again. I knew I shouldn't, but it had become a twisted morning ritual, like picking at a scab that wouldn't heal. "Another day in paradise," Bessa blessed, her latest post declared, showing her lounging by an infinity pool in Bali. The comment section was full of heart emojis and goals responses from her growing army of followers. My phone rang. Gemma, my physical therapist. "You're late for your session." "I can't come today," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The para-transit service cancelled again. "I'm picking you up," she replied. "Be ready in 15. True to her word, Gemma arrived in her beat-up Honda Civic. She took one look at my phone screen and snatched it away. "This isn't healthy," she said, tossing it into her back seat. "You're torturing yourself." "Did you see her new post?" I asked as she helped me into the passenger seat. "She's driving a Ferrari now, a Ferrari bought with my spine." Focus on your recovery, not her highlight reel. At the clinic, while helping me through my exercises, Gemma noticed the tremor in my hands. "When's the last time you took your meds?" "I'm rationing them," I admitted. "Can't afford the refills." She stopped mid-stretch. "Have you talked to a lawyer?" "3 of them." I gritted my teeth through another rep. They all said the same thing. My parents had legal authority while I was unconscious. The transfers were completely legitimate. "That's bull." "Look at this," I interrupted, pulling out my phone again. This time I showed her the spreadsheet I'd been building. Every withdrawal, every transfer, matched to Isla's posts. The day they took out $50,000, she posted about her spontaneous trip to the Maldives. Another $30,000, her vintage Chanel collection. "Samara." "The worst part?" I continued, my voice rising. "She posted this yesterday." The image showed Isla standing in front of a sports car, caption reading, "So grateful for my amazing family's support. Nothing better than having people who believe in your dreams. Your blessed dash your family support ash entrepreneur life." "I'm going to be sick," Gemma muttered. My phone pinged with a new email from Mom. "Dear Samara, I know you're still upset, but families should support each other. Isla's having a difficult time with some online trolls who are questioning her authenticity. She could really use her big sister right now. Remember when you two were little and you always protected her? Love, Mum." I deleted it without responding. "You know what the real kick in the teeth is," I said, struggling through another set of exercises. "They didn't just steal my money, they stole my future. I had plans, Gemma. I was going to start my own business. I had savings, a perfect credit score, everything lined up. Now I can barely afford ramen." Gemma helped me back into my wheelchair, then crouched down to meet my eyes. "So, start over? With what? I can't even afford proper PT sessions. With this." She tapped my head. "Your brain still works, your determination still works, and you have something now that you didn't have before." "What's that? A titanium spine?" "Motivation." She stood up, crossing her arms. "I've seen you analysing every post, tracking every dollar. You're smart, Samara. Too smart to waste your energy on Instagram stalking. Use that anger, build something." "Like what?" "Like something that helps people like you. People who need support but can't access it. People who've been..." She paused, choosing her words carefully. Overlooked. My phone pinged again. Another notification from Isla's account. This time, it was a sponsored post for some sketchy weight loss tea. The comments were already filling with angry responses about promoting dangerous products. I need help, I heard Gemma say distantly. One of my patients found this great coding boot camp, but they need someone to test their accessibility features. It comes with a scholarship. I looked up from my phone. What kind of coding? The kind that builds things, she said, smiling. The kind that changes lives. For the first time in months, I felt something other than rage or despair. It was small, barely a spark, but it was there. When does it start? Monday. But, Samara? Gemma's face turned serious. You have to promise me something. What? Delete her Instagram app, right now. I stared at my phone for a long moment, then pressed and held Isla's perfectly filtered face until it started to wiggle. Delete? The phone asked. I hit yes. It felt like taking my first full breath since the accident. The coding bootcamp classroom was on the 3rd floor of a converted warehouse. Thankfully, they had a reliable elevator, the first thing I checked when I applied. The scholarship covered tuition, but getting there meant taking 3 different buses. Worth it. Today, we're working on accessibility features, our instructor announced. Partner up. Everyone quickly paired off, leaving me and a guy in the corner who looked like he hadn't slept in days. He wheeled his chair over, an actual office chair, not like mine. I'm Clay, he said, extending his hand. Fair warning, I've already crashed the server twice this week. I liked him immediately. We were tasked with creating a website that would work for users with various disabilities. While others focused on basic screen readers, I found myself sketching something different. What's that? Clay peered at my notebook. An app for tracking physical therapy exercises, but with AR features to ensure proper form. I showed him my rough drawings. See? It would use the phone's camera to analyze body positioning, then give real-time feedback, like having a PT watching you. That's actually brilliant. He grabbed the notebook, adding his own notes. We could add progress tracking, pain level monitoring, direct communication with healthcare providers. You sound like you've thought about this before. My mum had a stroke last year, he said quietly. Her insurance only covered 6 weeks of PT. After that, he shrugged. We couldn't afford more. We spent the next 3 hours coding well past class time. Clay had a knack for back-end development that complemented my focus on user experience. By the time we finished, we had a rough prototype. This could help people, he said, staring at our work. Like, really help people. It could, I agreed, if we had funding. I know some people. He started typing frantically. There's this startup accelerator program. My phone buzzed, an email from Mum. Samara, please call us. Isla's in trouble. Some horrible people are attacking her online for promoting those wellness products. Her sponsors are dropping her. We need your help. You're good with computers now, right? Maybe you could help fix her reputation. Love, Mum. I deleted it without opening the attachments. Everything okay? Clay asked. Family drama, nothing important. I turned back to our project. Tell me more about this accelerator program. The next few weeks became a blur of coding, pitching, and prototyping. Gemma helped us test early versions with her patients, providing crucial feedback. Each iteration got better, more intuitive. The tracking feature saved me an hour of paperwork, she said after trying version 3.0. And my patients love the gamification elements. We named it Elevate Mobility. Clay handled the business side while I focused on development. My physical limitations became an advantage. Who better to design accessible tech than someone who needed it? We got in. Clay burst into our makeshift office. Really, just a corner of the boot camp classroom we'd been allowed to use after hours. the accelerator program. They want us to pitch next week. I was about to respond when another email arrived. From Isla this time, not Mom. Sam, I know we haven't talked, but I'm desperate. Everything's falling apart. My followers are leaving, my sponsors want refunds, and Dad's investments didn't work out. Mum's crying all the time. Please, you're my sister. You have to help. Clay noticed my expression. Bad news? No, I said, deleting the email. Just spam. We spent the next week perfecting our pitch. The night before the presentation, Clay found me still working at midnight. You need to rest, he said. Just one more feature. I showed him the new module I'd been developing. See? It tracks not just physical progress, but emotional well-being too. Depression and anxiety often accompany physical recovery, but most apps ignore that. He studied me for a moment. This is personal for you, isn't it? Everything's personal. I saved my work and closed the laptop. That's what makes it good. The pitch went better than we'd hoped. The investors didn't just get it, they loved it. One of them was in a wheelchair himself. This could change lives, he said, writing a check that made my hands shake. When can you start? As we celebrated that night, my phone buzzed one last time. A news notification. Social media influencer faces legal troubles over fraudulent product claims. I didn't need to read the article to know it was about Ayla. To elevate mobility, Clay raised his glass, and to helping people help themselves. I touched my glass to his, watching the lights reflect off the liquid inside. To karma, I added quietly. He didn't hear me, but that was okay. Some toasts are better kept to yourself. 1 year into running Elevate Mobility, and our office actually had windows. Real ones, not the basement variety I'd grown used to. We'd expanded to 30 employees, and our app was being used in rehabilitation centres across 3 states. Another interview request, Clay said, dropping a printout on my desk. Forbes this time? They want to do a profile on our mysterious founder. I shook my head. Send Sarah from marketing. She can do it. They specifically asked for you. The whole tech entrepreneur who developed the product while recovering from her own injury angle is compelling. No. I kept my eyes on my screen. We stick to the plan. No personal publicity. Clay sighed, but didn't argue. He knew why. The last thing I needed was my family discovering my success. They'd already burned through my settlement money. I wouldn't let them near my company. Fine, but at least look at this pitch deck that came in. He slid another folder across my desk. Interesting proposition. Family-run lifestyle brand looking to pivot after some setbacks. They need restructuring help with their debt. I flipped through the first few pages absently, then froze. There, in glossy high resolution, was a familiar face. Isla. Older, wearing less makeup than in her influencer days, but unmistakably my sister. Something wrong? Clay asked. I closed the folder carefully. Who sent this? Some guy named Harlan Boyd. Says he represents distressed assets, wants to meet about potentially selling us their debt at a discount. He leaned against my desk. Could be interesting. We've been talking about diversifying our investments. My mind raced. Through careful searching, I'd kept tabs on my family's downfall. Isla's influence had crumbled after the weight loss tea scandal. Dad's investments had tanked. They'd mortgaged their house to cover mounting debts, then mortgaged it again. Set up the meeting, I said, but with Boyd directly. I want to know more about this debt. Clay raised an eyebrow. You never take these meetings? Things change. Later that afternoon, I sat across from Harlan Boyd in our conference room. He looked exactly like I'd expected. Expensive suit, predatory smile. Fascinating company you've built, he said, sliding over documents. Though you're very camera shy. I prefer to let our product speak for itself. I studied the papers. Tell me about this debt portfolio. Family of 4. Parents remortgaged their home multiple times to fund their younger daughter's social media career. When that collapsed, they took out high-interest loans to maintain appearances. Now, they're underwater on everything. And you own all their debt? Most of it. He smiled again, looking to offload it at a very reasonable price. I kept my face neutral. Why sell to us? Your company has liquidity and... He paused meaningfully. I hear you understand the value of privacy. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Please, Samara, we're about to lose everything. Just talk to us. I turned the phone face down. How much? Boyd named a figure. It was high, but not as high as the satisfaction would be worth. I'll need to review the documents, I said. Of course. He stood to leave, then turned back. One more thing. The families requested a meeting with potential investors. One last chance to pitch their recovery plan. Would you be interested in attending? My heart raced. They wouldn't know who I am beforehand? Complete confidentiality? They're desperate enough not to ask questions. I thought about my basement apartment, about rationing pain medications, about Instagram posts from tropical beaches bought with my suffering. Schedule it. After Boyd left, Clay came in. So, we're buying it. The debt. Why? It's not even tangentially related to our business model. I stared out those real windows at the city below. Sometimes opportunities aren't about business models. Samara. His voice turned serious. Do you know these people? Set up the purchase through a shell company, I said, ignoring his question. Maximum privacy protocols? This feels personal. I finally looked at him. Everything's personal, remember? That's what makes it good. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I'll get the paperwork started. That night, I received another email from Isla. We found an investor willing to hear us out. One last chance to turn everything around. I wish you could be there, sis. I miss you. I smiled at my screen. Don't worry, I whispered. I wouldn't miss it for the world. The pieces were falling into place. Soon, very soon, I'd show them exactly what their smart, successful daughter had become. And this time, I'd be the one holding all the cards. I opened my calendar and marked the meeting date with a single word. Karma. The debt transfer is complete, Boyd said, sliding the final paperwork across my desk. Congratulations. You now own everything they owe. I picked up the stack of documents. Their entire financial history laid bare. Every desperate loan, every missed payment, every attempt to prop up Isla's failing influence empire. Tell me about their current situation, I said. Boyd's smile widened. They're living on credit cards. The house is worth less than they owe. Your sister, yes, I know who you are, tried launching a skincare line last month. It flopped spectacularly. And my parents? Your father's trying to day trade cryptocurrency. Your mother's selling MLM products to her friends. They're drowning. My phone lit up with a text from Clay. Are you sure about this? I ignored it. The meeting is scheduled for next Thursday, Boyd continued. They're expecting to pitch to a private equity group. Should be quite the show. Have they asked about the investor's identity? They're not in a position to ask questions. He stood to leave, then paused. I've seen a lot of revenge plays in my line of work, but this one, he whistled low. This is art. After he left, I pulled up Isla's latest social media attempts. Her following had dropped from millions to barely 10,000. Her most recent post showed her forcing a smile while holding a bottle of sketchy-looking supplements. Sometimes life knocks you down, her caption read, But real influencers keep influencing. DM me for your discount code. I shall blessed ensure never give up. I will girl boss. The comments were brutal. Didn't you get sued for your last scam products? How desperate can you get? What happened to all your luxury vacations? My office door opened. Clay walked in without knocking. I figured it out, he said. They're your family. I didn't deny it. Does that change anything? It explains everything. He sat down heavily. The privacy protocols, the shell company, why you never do interviews. He leaned forward. What are you planning? Justice. Samara. They stole my future, I cut him off. Used my settlement money while I was literally unconscious. Do you know what it's like to wake up and discover your own parents betrayed you? No, he said quietly, but I know what it's like to watch someone get consumed by revenge. My phone buzzed again. Mum, the investor meeting is our last chance. Your father's not sleeping. Isla cries all the time. We need a miracle. Another text followed immediately. I know we hurt you, but we're still family. I showed Clay the messages. Family? I laughed bitterly. They didn't act like family when I was eating ramen in a basement apartment because I couldn't afford real food. What exactly are you going to do? Make them feel what I felt. Helpless, desperate. I pulled up the meeting calendar. They want to pitch their recovery plan? Fine, let them pitch. Then I'll show them exactly who they're dealing with. And after, what happens to them? They lose everything. The house, the cars, Isla's precious social media accounts, all of it. Clay was quiet for a long moment. Will it heal you? I'm not looking for healing. I'm looking for balance. My phone lit up one more time. A social media notification. Isla had tagged me in a post. An old photo of us as kids, me pushing her on a swing. Missing my big sister, the caption read. The one person who always protected me. Throwback, Dodger family. Manipulative to the end, I muttered, blocking her account. You don't have to do this, Clay said. Actually, I do. I turned to my computer and pulled up the meeting details. Send out the calendar invites. List the investor as Phoenix Capital Partners. Phoenix? Something that rises from ashes. I smiled thinly. Seemed appropriate. After Clay left, I opened my desk drawer and pulled out my old hospital bracelet. I'd kept it as a reminder, a talisman of sorts. My phone buzzed one final time. Dad, we're meeting the investors next week. I know you're doing well in tech now. If you could just loan us enough to tide us over. I deleted the message without responding and confirmed the calendar invite. The pieces were set. In 1 week, they'd walk into that conference room expecting salvation. Instead, they'd find me, their greatest failure, transformed into their worst nightmare. I ran my fingers over the hospital bracelet, remembering the pain, the betrayal, the lonely nights. See you soon, family, I whispered, dropping the bracelet into my trash bin. Hope you're ready for your miracle. The conference room felt colder than usual. I'd chosen my outfit carefully. A tailored black suit that concealed my mobility aid, hairstyled differently than they'd ever seen it, subtle makeup that changed the angles of my face. 3 years of avoiding cameras meant they wouldn't recognize me immediately. Clay sat to my right, our legal team to my left. Last chance to back out, he whispered. I checked my watch. They're late, probably choosing the perfect Instagram filter for their big meeting post. The door opened. Mum entered first, wearing a dress I recognized from her credit card statements, purchased last week, still with tags hidden in the hem. Dad followed, tugging at his tie. Isla came last, clutching a tablet and looking thinner than her photos. Thank you for meeting with us, Dad began, not really looking at any of us. We're excited to present our new business venture. Sit down, I said, my voice deliberately lower than usual. Let's start with some questions. They settled into their chairs. Mom was already tearing up, her signature move in tense situations. Your financial records show multiple mortgages, I began. Tell me about the first one. Well, Dad shifted uncomfortably. We needed capital for Isla's brand development. March 15th, 3 years ago, I interrupted. The day you withdrew $250,000 from a medical settlement account. Remember that one? The colour drained from his face. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered. I opened a folder and pushed documents across the table. Bank transfers, Instagram posts, quite the correlation between withdrawal dates and your daughter's luxury vacations. Mum's hand started shaking. Who are you? I ignored her, turning to Isla. Tell me about the weight loss products. That was a misunderstanding, Isla said quickly. The company assured us. You promoted dangerous products to teenage girls while vacationing on stolen money. I pulled up her old posts on the conference room screen. Money that was meant for medical care. How do you know all this? Dad demanded. I stood slowly, letting them see my slight limp. Because it was my money. The recognition hit them in waves. Mum gasped. Dad's face went from white to red. Isla dropped her tablet with a clatter. Samara, she whispered. Hello, family. I smiled without warmth. Surprised to see me walking. I managed that without the physical therapy I couldn't afford. Amazing what determination can do. Sweetheart, Mum reached across the table. We can explain. No need. I pushed another document forward. I own your debt now, all of it. The house, the cars, the failed business loans, everything. That's impossible, Dad sputtered. You couldn't afford. I'm the CEO of Elevate Mobility. I gestured around the office. This is my company, the one I built from nothing, while you were spending my settlement on private jets and designer bags. Isla started crying. Not her usual pretty tears for Instagram, but ugly, mascara-running sobs. We were going to pay it back, she choked out. Once I got more sponsors. Your sponsorships are gone. Your followers know you're a fraud. And now, I clicked a button on my laptop. Your accounts are mine too, part of the debt acquisition. Her phone buzzed. She looked down and screamed. All her social media accounts were simultaneously deactivated. You can't do this, Dad stood up, his face purple. We're your parents. Sit down. My voice could have frozen fire. You stopped being my parents the moment you stole from your disabled daughter. Mum was fully crying now. We were trying to help Isla reach her potential. While I ate ramen in a basement, I pulled up more documents. Here's what's going to happen. You'll surrender the house, the cars, all assets. You'll sign everything over quietly, or I'll take you to court and make every detail public. You'd destroy your own family? Dad's voice cracked. You did that already. I stood again, steadier now. You have 24 hours to decide. Sign the papers or I release everything, including Isla's deleted posts promoting those dangerous products. Samara, please. Isla reached for me. I'm your sister. My sister? I laughed coldly. My sister watched me struggle to survive and posted beach selfies bought with my pain. The papers will be delivered to your house tonight. Choose wisely. I walked to the door, my slight limp a reminder of everything they'd done. At the threshold, I turned back one last time. Oh, and, Mom, those tears might work better if you hadn't practiced them in your influencer coaching sessions. The receipts for those are in the file too. I left them there, surrounded by the evidence of their betrayal, and felt nothing but ice in my veins. Clay followed me out. You okay? No, I said honestly. But I will be. They signed the papers at exactly 23 hours and 42 minutes into their deadline. Our lawyers delivered them to my office, where I sat with Clay and Gemma, who'd insisted on being there. "It's done," Clay said, reviewing the signatures. "They surrendered everything." Gemma squeezed my hand. "How do you feel?" Before I could answer, my office door burst open. Isla stood there, mascara streaked down her face, wearing clothes I'd never seen her post on Instagram. 2 minutes, I said to the security guard who'd followed her. "Then escort her out." "Please," Isla stepped forward. "I can fix this. Let me work for you. I can do your social media, your marketing." "Like you marketed those weight loss products to teenagers." She flinched. "I've changed. I've learned." "The only thing you've learned is that actions have consequences." I kept my voice level. "Something our parents should have taught you years ago." "They were trying to help me." "By stealing from me?" I pulled up her old Instagram feed. "Here's you in Bali the same week I had to choose between pain medication and food. Here's your vintage Chanel collection, bought while I was learning to walk again. Here's—" "I'm sorry," she screamed. "Is that what you want to hear? I'm sorry." "Sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught." She collapsed into a chair, all her influencer poise gone. "What am I supposed to do now? Where are we supposed to live?" "You'll figure it out." I did. "Mum and Dad are devastated. Dad's talking about bankruptcy." "I lived in a mouldy basement," I cut her off. "I took 3 buses to physical therapy. I built this company while fighting chronic pain. You'll survive." "We're still family," she whispered. "Family?" I laughed. Let me show you something." I pulled up my company's user testimonials. "This is Amy, a car accident survivor who couldn't afford ongoing PT. Our app helped her recover. This is Marcus, who lost mobility after a stroke. He's walking again. This is Sarah." "I get it," Isla interrupted. "You're helping people. You're better than us." "No, I'm showing you what real influence looks like." I turned to face her fully. "You wanted followers? I have millions of users who actually benefit from what I create. You wanted to make an impact? I'm changing lives. That's the future you stole from me, and the one I built anyway." The security guard stepped forward. "Time's up." "Wait," Isla reached into her bag. "Your hospital bracelet. Mum kept it. I thought, maybe you'd want it back." I stared at the faded plastic band. "Keep it. Consider it a souvenir of the sister you used to have." After she was gone, Gemma broke the silence. "That was intense." "It's not over," Clay said, checking his phone. "Your mother's outside." "Of course she is," I sighed. "Send her in." Mom entered like she was walking to her execution. "Samara, baby." "Don't." I held up my hand. "If you're here to manipulate me with tears and memories, save it. I just want to understand. How could you do this to us?" Interesting question. I asked myself the same thing in that hospital bed. She sank into the chair Isla had vacated. "We thought we were investing in the family's future." "No, you were gambling with my future to fund Isla's fantasy." I pulled out one final document. "Sign this." "What is it?" "A non-disclosure agreement. Sign it and I won't go public with the story. Your choice." Her hand trembled as she took the pen. "You're so cold now. What happened to my sweet girl?" "She died in that car accident. The woman who woke up had to be stronger." After she signed, she stood to leave, but paused at the door. "Will you ever forgive us?" "That's the wrong question, Mom." I turned back to my computer. "The right question is, will you ever forgive yourselves?" The door clicked shut behind her. Clay and Gemma stayed silent as I stared at my screen, not really seeing it. Finally, Gemma spoke. "What now?" I pulled up our company's latest project, a nationwide initiative to provide free physical therapy apps to accident survivors. "Now?" I started typing. We help people. We build something meaningful. We do what I always wanted to do. And your family? Clay asked quietly. I thought about the hospital bracelet Isla had tried to return, about the basement apartment, about all the lonely nights and painful mornings. They're not my family anymore, I said. This is our company, our users, the people we help. That's worth more than all their Instagram followers combined. I hit send on the project launch email, watching it disappear into cyberspace. Besides, I added, Karma's not finished with them yet. The TED Talk stage felt smaller than it looked in videos. My mobility aid was visible today. I'd stopped hiding it. The audience waited in expectant silence as I adjusted the microphone. Everyone loves a good comeback story, I began. But this isn't one of those. This is a story about building something new from the ashes of betrayal. In the front row, Clay and Gemma gave me encouraging nods. We'd practiced this speech for weeks. When I founded Elevate Mobility, people asked what inspired me. They expected to hear about my car accident, my recovery. But the real inspiration came from betrayal, from learning that sometimes the people meant to protect you can be the ones who hurt you most. I clicked to the next slide. Our app's interface showing real-time physical therapy guidance. We've helped over 1 million users regain their independence. But more importantly, we've shown them they're not alone, that their struggles matter, that they deserve support. The presentation continued smoothly until the Q&A session. A hand raised in the back. Your company recently acquired several failed influencer accounts and their associated debts. How does that fit into your mission? I smiled, having expected this question. Sometimes healing others means confronting your own past. Those acquisitions reminded me why we do this work, because real influence isn't about followers or likes. It's about impact. After the talk, I headed to my favourite coffee shop, the same one where I'd sketched our first prototype. The barista recognised me. "Saw you on the live stream," she said, handing me my usual order. "Table by the windows free." As I settled in, someone slid into the chair across from me. Isla. She looked different, no makeup, wearing a retail store uniform. "I saw your talk," she said quietly. "How did you find me?" "You mentioned this place in your speech, about sketching the first designs here." She twisted her hands together. "I'm working at the mall now, assistant manager trainee." "Congratulations." "Don't mock me." "I'm not." I met her eyes. "Honest work isn't shameful." She pulled out her phone. An older model cracked screen. Look, it was her new Instagram account. Instead of luxury posts, there were simple photos. Her small apartment, cooking attempts, study materials for a business management course. "Only 300 followers," she said, "but they're real. No bought likes, no fake comments." "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you were right about everything." She put the phone away. "Mum and Dad are in therapy now. Dad's working as an accountant again. Mum..." She hesitated. "Mum's actually working with a support group for parents of accident survivors." I took a sip of my coffee, letting the information settle. "We're learning," she continued. "The hard way, but we're learning." "Good for you." "That's not why I came, though." She pulled out an envelope. "This is my first real paycheck. I want you to have it. Keep it, please. It's not much, not compared to what we took, but..." "Isla." I pushed the envelope back. "Keep it. Use it for your courses." She started crying. Real tears, not the performed ones I remembered. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said. "I just wanted you to know we understand now. What we did, what it cost you." My phone buzzed. Clay sending updates about our latest project, a partnership with national rehabilitation centres. "It didn't cost me anything," I replied, showing her the message. "It showed me what I could build." She stood to leave, then paused. "Your app the free version for accident survivors. I've been recommending it to customers at work. Some of them actually use it. That's what it's for. After she left, I opened my laptop and pulled up our company dashboard. New user registrations were climbing. Reviews poured in from people sharing their recovery journeys. Clay called. "Ready for the hospital board meeting?" "On my way." I gathered my things, leaving a generous tip for the barista. Outside, the city felt different. Not because anything had changed, but because I had. The anger that had fueled me for so long had transformed into something else. Not forgiveness, exactly, but purpose. My phone buzzed again. A notification from Isla's new Instagram. A simple photo of her textbooks captioned, "Learning from mistakes. Starting over." I hesitated, then clicked follow. Not for her, not for redemption, but because sometimes moving forward means acknowledging when others do too. I headed toward the hospital, where our team was waiting to launch a program bringing rehabilitation technology to underserved communities. This was my real influence, my real legacy, and it was worth every painful step of the journey.